Welcome. Thanks for that intro, and hello everybody. Yes, I'm going to be flying solo today, so this is kind of a first time for me, but I think we can get through it. Bear with us. August is about to wind down, but we got people on vacation, people moving. Jamie's moving to Texas. I guess he knew I was lonely out here, so coming out here. But anyway, thank you guys for showing up, and I will try to put on a good show for you. All right, so let's dive in, and first thing we'll do here is go over the disclaimer. Guys, I'm going to be showing some charts today, looking at some stocks and all that fun stuff, but just remember this is all for fun. I shouldn't say just for fun, it's for educational purposes, and nothing that you see or hear today from me should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're looking for, please seek out a professional who is licensed in that capacity, being a stockbroker, RIA, or whoever it may be. But let's talk about more, and I'm using Jamie's slides here, so I got to figure out what comes next. But we do want to talk about the community we have here, the educational support, the training. It's second to none. So for those of you in here who have not signed up yet and you're kicking the tires, just want you to know that yes, the software is very powerful, but we will give you the steps and needed in webinars and training and TI University that will help you get going in the right direction. And we have many things to share with you here as well. So a couple of weeks, man, you have it down just pretty much like we do. So and let's talk about them a little bit. We have a webinar pretty much every day of the week in the 5 p.m. Time slot, except on Friday. You can see the lineup there. It starts with office hours, which usually Jamie and Steve. Trade of the week is Steve and myself. And they got Q&A with Dan and Brad. And then my trading studio on Thursday. And then Friday support, we open up a 3-hour Q&A. So if you did not get all your questions answered during the week, come on in there, guys, and we will answer them. And on top of all that, we have the traders room with Barry, who moderates that. There's probably 500 traders in there, some very good ones. You get to see the product and you get to hear Barry calling out trades. It's a great hangout. So to not only learn the software, but to be around good traders. All right, let's move on, and let's not forget, on top of all that, we offer TI University for those who are new to the software. It's not just for, if you've been around for a month, come just as long as you register, you can come in and check it out, no problem. And I even suggest a lot of people do that. If you didn't get a one-on-one training and you haven't had any sort of training, come sign up for TI University. It's a stepping stone class going from beginners 101 on Monday, ending at advanced 401 on Thursday. These are all in the 12 Eastern time slot. Some great stuff. It's about, each day is about an hour and a half worth of education, and we open it up at the end for Q&A. So guys, if you haven't if you're still kind of feeling like you're lagging behind, you haven't been to TI University, please sign up for that. It's very valuable. All right, this is just a slide that we have in there showing our subscriber growth. It's been on a tear over the last few years. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because it's not one of my slides, but we do like to point that out every now and then. And ways to win in a post BTFD market. Obviously, we are not there yet. We thought about 6 months ago that we could be entering that phase, but boy, the bulls took charge, and we're not there yet. But trust me, I've been trading for 20 years. It will come, and when it comes, you need to be prepared. And that's why we wrote this book. And I am one of the authors, along with the rest of the guys here at Trade Ideas. And it's valuable information when we do get into that. I have no idea how long. We'll talk about the market recap in a minute, but anyway, it's always nice to be prepared, that's for sure. All right, let's take a look at today's lineup. All right, we're going to go over the market recap like I just mentioned. I'll talk about the kind of gap, and well, it wasn't too much of a go today, but it was definitely a gap and a little bit of movement higher. Quiet weekend. This has kind of been a trend over the last many years. It seems like you have a quiet weekend, nothing major, no black swan. You get a lot of times on Monday, you'll get a big gap up. Expectations, this is kind of a topic that Jamie has in his slide here. I think he's probably referring to what the market may do from here. We'll talk about that. Holly recap. I'm going to talk about NEO was a big winner today, but I'm also going to go over some losers. Not a great day for Holly, but we'll talk more about the gap and sometimes how that affects the settings and all that. The Vault, I know a lot of people in here is a big fan of the Vault, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, don't force it, okay? It was working, like a golden goose in the early going. It's been slowing down. I'll talk maybe the reasons why and why you should not try to, keep going back to the well once it stops working. And about 2 weeks ago, I showed you a bull flag, a daily setup that everybody really liked from all the response I got. I've been working on a intraday, and I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to be honest with you, and I think I told you this 2 weeks ago that intraday is tougher to build. But anyway, I put forth my best effort, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll talk about ways that you might, want to change it up, and we'll even play around with some of the parameters in the back today. And I'm not sure why Jamie's has Andy's studio. I guess he's just reminding everybody about my studio here. So with that said, let's back out and let's take a look at the market today. And the market in general, which is very strong. And I got to eat a little bit of crow. It's not that I was very bearish, but I've been kind of skeptical on the overall market during this period right here. Now, obviously, I never said this is bearish looking. I've always said this is nothing really bearish about this chart, but I didn't see the kind of market action that I saw definitely back over here. It just seems like we were struggling a lot more. A lot of damage was done, and there was some damage done here. And it took, for the spiders, it took several months to really kind of amend all this damage that was done. It finally did it, and now we are hitting, back through these January highs. And man, it's really. I was talking to the guys today. It's like, feel like maybe a black swan's the only thing that's going to take this market down. It's scary when you look at the long-term possible ramifications, but it's strong, guys. And we don't know of course we know the reasons why to a certain extent, but we still have to pay attention to the price action. Numbers are good for sure. The earnings numbers were really good this past quarter, and but I never put too much weight on fundamentals because a lot of those can be lagging, and so I just like to watch the price action. And let's face it, you got the spiders breaking out to all-time highs, you got the Qs breaking out to all-time highs. The IWM today was kind of some weird action. I just going to basically write that off because what happened is money was probably more flowing in, coming out maybe of the IWM and going more into the, the spiders and Qs. And yes, guys, this webinar, I think Scott mentioned, it will be recorded, so you guys don't worry about it if you've missed the first part or something like that. But anyway, even the diamonds are above a certain range here and look like they could eventually, they took out this level and looks like they could eventually maybe even have a move with nothing really to stop it from going to all, not making a prediction here, but just not a whole lot in the way of it going and testing this January high as well. Financials are even trying to, and this is one of the things we talked about, when I was, slightly bearish, was the financials were just not showing any strength. I said, if we do get these to come, showing a little bit of strength, maybe my, attitude will change. And sure enough, it is. It's kind of trying to break out of a range here as well. Right there, a little pivot line right there, and could possibly moving higher. But yeah, that's, I mean, if you're bearish on this market for other reasons, so be it. But technically, there's just no reason to be bearish. You know, at this time, it's just above all the moving averages at all-time highs. It's you know, the volume wasn't all that impressive today. I don't even think the Qs did normal volume. I think they were right, yeah, just below it, right, just below it. But we've seen in the past, it doesn't mean anything. Price is the only thing it pays. It doesn't matter. I know that you'd like to see it if you're a bull with greater volume, but that's okay. I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, those closing prices are just the same if it was doing it on 10 times normal volume or even or below normal volume. So, and that's what matters on your blotter, that's for sure. But this is the point I usually jump over to Jamie and ask if he has any more to add. But since he's not here, I'm not going to spend. I mean, all of you guys can see. I mean, you know, anytime you're at all-time highs, or not, it's pretty much all bullish. So see what happens. See what kind of follow-through we get. But from everything I'm looking at, there's nothing to be bearish about right now. Maybe, you know, maybe taking some profits, but not bearish. That's for sure. All right, so let's dive in. I'm pretty sure the next thing on the agenda is Holly, and let me just pull back up my notes real quick just in case. All right, NEO, Vault, and market gap. Yeah, I mean, you see, we've seen this in the past. I mean, Holly's numbers aren't bad today. They're pretty much a little bit on the plus side when you take what NEO did and risk on versus what Holly Grail had a down day, not a good day for the Grail. But I want to first talk about the gap, because this has happened in the past, and it seems like anytime we get over like a 0.5% gap, it really becomes difficult, you know, for Holly. And the reason that is, a lot of these strategies are built on intraday or daily setups, and some of the filters may, you know, be set to trigger, you know, once it hits a high. But when you hit a gap, so now those triggers may be a good percentage higher than what they would normally be had you not had a gap. And I'm not sure if that's making really good sense to you, but just keep in mind that when we build these base strategies for Holly, they're built on, you know, us looking at chart patterns, in most cases the daily pattern, and building something off the daily pattern. And when you do get a gap up, it can skew those numbers to where the triggers may have been or say for the long side trades, the triggers may have came in a lot sooner than when you got the gap. But anyway, I'm not making excuses. I just want you guys to know that, hey, if you do use Holly for their alerts, and many people do, and I don't blame you, because she's been on a tear lately, you know, today notwithstanding, it's okay. She was due. It's not like it was an awful day. It's just a lot of trades and not a lot of, you know, when you combine them all, not a lot of, you know, points to the upside. But that's okay. Like I said, she was due. She's been on a tear. Last week she had some incredible numbers. But let's go take a look. Let's take a look at NEO, and let's take a look. Let's just do it sorted and risk off profit right now. And I'm going to expand it out here. Let's take a look at what NEO had. NEO had 35 trades. So that's quite a bit of trades. Keep in mind, you're not expected, no one's expected to take all these trades. Once again, these are idea generations, okay? And, you know, you may see something that looks good to you, it may look horrible to the next guy, and vice versa. What we want to do is generate ideas. That's the whole idea, the whole concept behind our product, is to give you, you know, great ideas for trading, and Holly will do that. But, you know, today, this is what you'd like to see. You know, every time when I pull up, first of all, I always pull up risk off, and I want to see, you know, take a look down the risk off column and make sure, you know, these numbers we have more green numbers than we have red numbers. And you can see here, we almost in NEO on the risk off column, we have about twice many. Now, a lot of them, I'm not counting all these 6 cents up, 5 cents up. But the predominantly green ones versus the red ones, you know, that's the kind of stuff you want to see. You know, that's about a 2-to-1 margin there. And you can also do this for risk on, and you get pretty much the same thing, although you have a few more risk on ones sold off here. But let's stick with risk off right now and just look at some of the trades. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I know we hit you up all the time on this Holly, but I do want to point out some of the ones that that paid off, and we'll also take a look at a couple of bad ones too. Here's one that's in risk off, made 50 cents, the CDXS, buyer stepping in. You have a beautiful looking chart here, you know, a breakout on the daily there. If you take these 2 wicks from 3 months ago or 2 months ago and draw a little horizontal line, you will see that it had already kind of broken through that area, and then we got a nice little pullback, and that's where it was triggered, on that pullback. Volume's pretty good. I'm not sure you could have, you know, everybody could have got this. I even see it went a little bit lower, actually went about 5 cents lower, so maybe you could have got a better price, maybe not. I didn't see the price action at that time, but still a nice contrarian play based upon the daily chart, buyer stepping in, and the risk off is pretty much the same as risk on, 50 cents to the upside. It was some, you know, if you managed it better, you could have made some more there. But let's take a look at some more. OSB, this is a nice one. No real pain in this one. There's your trigger and some nice up move, and risk on was a little bit higher, but still a very nice no pain trade. Sunrise mover here, another one. These are ones that go off pretty early in the morning, usually like in the first 30 to 45 minutes. Voya, here's another one. There's your trigger, and risk off was best here. Got out 39 cents, and you can see the risk on is about 35 cents. So, you know, let's take a look. I noticed two big losers happened at the same stock, same stock symbol, 2 different strategies. You had a risk on, float on, and a tailwind. One went off at 103 Central, one went off at 108 Central. So you had 2 trades here that caused a lot of damage. Stop hit, didn't work. So that really hurt the P&L, but we still have to figure in both trades since they were both different strategies. But you can see the head fake. I can see what she was looking at. Tried to sell off and then all of a sudden popped up, but boy, that was just some nasty action. Went to highs real quick, right back down. I may associate this with some just summer, August, late August action where midday, you just might want to be careful no matter what you're trading. If you're trading your own strategies or you're trading Hollies, it's, you know, the volume is typically really weak this time of year, and then you get these midday moves where high frequency traders will try to sucker people in and have just, you know, whatever. But anyway, you did have a couple of trades that really hurt the profit today. All right, so let's take a look at I want to talk about the vault, and it's in the Grail. And I also want to point out the Grail had a pretty bad day today. We'll span this column, and you know, we're going to face the music when we have bad days. And once again, whether I blame it on the gap up or what, it doesn't matter. It was a bad day. We'll do the same thing. Put it on risk off here, and you can see, yeah, look at these red numbers really outweighing the green numbers there. But that's okay. I don't mind showing you these, especially because I know how much Holly's been on a tear and some of the beautiful trades that she's been calling out. But look here, let's put it on risk on, and look at the bottom 2. The vault and the vault. And for those of you guys who are in here for the first time, the vault has been just really, I shouldn't say lately, because it has lately started kind of its demise on the profits, but boy, in the first month it couldn't do anything wrong, and I know a lot of people in here made a lot of money trading the vault. Now, I also talked about the vault in a segment about a month ago, and I pointed out, because there were like 4 beautiful vault trades in there, and what they all had in common was the earnings date. They all reported earnings that morning or yesterday's close. And that, so it's telling me, that's telling me something. It's looking, and they all had high relative volume. So it was very interesting, and I love seeing this because I think I made a comment, and I even put it in my agenda that don't always feel like, maybe I didn't put it in my agenda, but I remember talking about it. Okay, if this strategy only works a certain part of the time, that's fine. That would probably be the best if this strategy only worked during earnings season, because when you become, the way you're going to become a good trader is learning discipline and patience. Okay, so no strategy is going to come in here and work 365 days a year. It's just not going to happen. All right. If too many people start trading it for whatever reason, and I'm sure many of you have worked with the strategies before that worked great for about a month and they turned to crap. Trust me, I have. So the vault, maybe this will be a special case where it's really working great during earnings season. I know that's what we're cheering for, because there's something special about this during earnings season, because we had some really incredible trades during earnings season in this. And in many cases, it was stocks that had a nice daily pattern, and then they showed weakness, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then earnings would come out and they would do a head fake to the downside and just pop up, and that's when the vault would trigger, and it would vault it to the highs. So the point I'm making, guys, is there was something special about this trigger where it was looking for an event, okay, and that event happened to be earnings, or maybe there was some sort of announcement that came out, and it head fakes in one direction, I should say down, and then pops back up, and then usually it'll trigger before it goes to highs, or you'll get alerted before it even goes to highs. So a great strategy, but keep an eye on it, because it may be that the sweet spot is during earnings season. Now, earnings season can last, get the meat of it for a good 6 weeks. So there can be some there's going to be some really good trading when it comes back around. But what you don't want to do is keep going back to the well if it's not working. Okay, and just sitting around waiting for the vault because you remember the glory days a month ago, because they will potentially come back, but just don't keep, because you can get hurt, obviously, if you're going back to the well and the well's dry. All right, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of more time on Holly. There was some good trades in there, and there was some not so good trades in there. Overall, Holly Neo's up 2.53. Holly 2.0 is basically a scratch. There was a lot of basically flat with. I'm not going to look at it right now, but go back and look at 2.0. There's a lot of trades in there, where the P&L was around zero, and the market. Getting back to the market, guys, the spiders, when you had that gap that I talked about, and then you had that first move in the first 45 minutes, and from that point on, draw a horizontal line here, it was basically just flat, a lot of just back and forth, really didn't go anywhere. So that was your move, and this could be real frustrating for a trader sometimes when you get the gap, and then you get an early move, and then you're ready to go to work, and then you get a lot of slop back and forth. And we're going to see the same thing, guys, when I pull up my bull flag intraday. You're going to see a lot of patterns like this where the bull flag was setting up, just never went anywhere, because the whole move was done in the gap in the first 15-20 minutes. So interesting stuff. But I think I'm done with Holly. Yeah, it's not a lot to talk about today. There's plenty of days. What did David say over here? Maybe you just don't rely on the Holly too much. Yeah, that's a good point. David said maybe don't rely on Holly too much on days when the market gaps, and that's a very good point. I have seen in the past where you have. Now, I'm not saying if she has a small, let's say 30-cent gap up, 40-cent gap up, but if she gaps up, let's see, 287.50, yeah, you're basically looking at $1.30, so it's probably about a 50. It's about a 0.5%. It finished up today 70.77%, so that's probably 0.5%. So that's that could be significant, especially in the summertime when you don't get a whole lot of movement. But but good point, David. Yeah, maybe just be a little more patient. Maybe use some of your other alerts or something like that on the big gappers for sure. All right, I think I covered everything I was going to talk about in the Holly. I did. Now let's go into the bull flag top list here. And all right, so let me first bring up the daily. And if anybody doesn't have this, you know what? I'm going to drop it in here so you don't have to email. This is the bull flag daily setup that I've created recently, and I got a lot of great comments from it. And let's take a look at configuration. So, because I think this is going to tie, well, I know it's going to tie into the intraday configuration. So let me pull this up, and it's a top list, so we do not have any alerts. It's all filters. Okay, let me hit hide unused so we can just get the important stuff. So basically, guys, what I'm looking for, stocks between $5 and $200. This is just a hack to eliminate any ETFs. Change from the close. Okay, I just want it up 0.01%. This is for the, remember, it's for the daily. Position in previous day's range, I want it in the upper 25% of the previous day's range. In other words, 25% of that high from going through yesterday's high. 5-day range. All right, first let's talk about the change in the 10 days. Change in the 10 days, I want it to be up 3%. So in other words, I want to see stocks that have moved up at least 3% in a 10-day period. All right, change in the 5 days. All right, the day range is between 1% and 3%. So some of you may be asking, like, wow, why didn't you just use a max of 3% if you're just looking for stocks moving sideways? Why did you have to put a range of 1% to 3%? The reason I put this range starting a minimum of 1%, because that's going to eliminate any buyouts. So in other words, when a stock gets bought out and trades sideways for several days, there's nothing, and I'm sure some of you guys have pulled up these on your chart where you're like, gosh, that does me no good. Well, if you use a filter like this and put a minimum range of 1%, usually if they're a buyout, they're not gonna fluctuate more than 1%. Okay, they're just gonna sit there and go sideways for days. So that's gonna eliminate those buyouts. All right, so, and then change in 5 days, I got a maximum of 1%. So in other words, I want it ranging, and I don't want it being up too much over the last 5 days. In other words, I don't want to be chasing too many of these. I want to see the setup so I can mark them up and then buy them when it goes through. All right, so that's the setup for the bull flag daily setup. Let's take a look at some of these, and there you have it. You have your move, okay, in a 10-day period, and now you have sideways action forming a little flag. Sprint's a good one. And but once again, this is, I explained to people why you can't build this as an alert, because a lot of times these patterns will develop, but you have no idea when they're going to go through. So trying to use a high, I mean, it's tough to do, because really you need the high of the of that range to break out of. Let's see any more in here. JC, this is one. It looks like, yeah, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 71. Just trying to calculate here. It looks like I may be seeing some of these. Okay, that one's definitely in the 10-day range. That was an ugly day there, though. Okay. That one's definitely a kind of a bullish flag. Let me go back and look some of these. I may have to go around and play around with this some more. What I may do is have to use a 20-day change from 20-day versus a 10-day. Yes, Russell. You won't receive a copy of the webinar, but it is recorded. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, and you will, if you're signed up for webinars, you will get a notice in your email that the recording is available. All right, guys. I'm gonna play around with this more later. But anyway, I don't want to pull away from our topic today and get too dug into that one. So what I was doing, I wanted to create a bull flag for the intraday. All right, so let's take a look at the configuration, keeping in mind what we just saw on the bull flag daily setup. And this one is a lot less simpler, okay? Are used. It's pretty much the same, but you'll see here what I'm using. Okay, the price, I'm just looking for anything over $3. You can change this, you know, that's the beautiful thing about our software. You can make it your own. You can change this to $5 to in between 5 and 50, whatever you want to do. For some reason, I just used a minimum of $3. There's the ETF hack relative volume. I'm just looking for normal relative volume. Okay, nothing big. Change from the close. I'm looking for stocks that are up at least 0.5%. Okay, so that's another one on days or in markets like this where you kind of have a nice bull run going. You might want to change yours to up 1%. That would be totally up to you. Position in previous days range. Okay, I want it to be within basically a minimum of 90% of the previous day's range. So something, in other words, I don't want it pulling back and forming a flag, you know, way below yesterday's range. That does me no good. 30-minute range. So what I did here is 30-minute range, I put 0.03%. So, you know, you got, well, I'm not going to go over the numbers. You can figure it out. But basically, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be a pretty tight one. Intraday used a 15-minute time frame, 5-minute. I like, you can look at either one. I like Bill. I like looking at when I'm looking at my chart, looking at the 15, because I can just add the two. Obviously, add the two candles together to get 30 minutes. I did play around with a 60-minute range. I just found it better, you know, to use a 30-minute. I got more stocks in there. Average daily volume, I'm looking for 300,000. Position in range, this is today's range, intraday range. Okay, I want it in the upper 20% of today's range. So in other words, I don't want it flagging right in the middle of its range. So let's take a look at some of the ones we got in here, and I'm going to warn you because a lot of them look a lot like the market does, because we had that move up and then we had kind of sideways action for the last 3 hours. So. But let's take a look for ourselves. Now, obviously, these are ones at the close. Okay, this is a top list, and I have it set for time frame live during market hours. So when you have that, what's going to happen is you're going to have stocks freeze in here, and you're going to be able to see, you know, a lot of these. You got your 5%. This is actually a pretty beautiful chart here. It's breaking out on the daily. You have your move up. And more than likely, you probably saw this one in here, right here, flagging in between this range or this range. We'll go back and look, but it's doing the same pattern right up here. Let's take a look here. That one's pretty sloppy. It looks like it doesn't do a whole lot of volume there. Relative volume is pretty good. Let's take a look at the Ameritrade. I did notice some brokers in here doing some nice patterns this morning. There's Ameritrade. There's Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, beautiful move up higher right there, and look at that flag. This was coming in earlier in the day, but really, much like the spiders, went to highs. It just never really, you got a little bit of action on that, you know, not bad, but then pulled back kind of, you know, with the market. Mattel. So it's working. Now this is at the close, all right? So you probably wouldn't have seen this earlier in the day just because it wasn't up enough. But now you had to move higher, and there's your flag, you know, on the last, you know, we're only looking at 30 minutes. So that's, some of these will look kind of weird to you, but just, you got to remember, we're only asking for it to flag for 30 minutes. That's a nice one right there. You had to move up. Probably saw this one earlier as well. We'll take a look. As a matter of fact, let's do that right now. Let's go back to, let's go back to 9:30 this morning, which is 1 hour after the open, my time. Make sure you put your AM in there and see what we have. Oh, didn't have as many this morning. And there's one that didn't work. Okay, you had your move higher, it flagged, and boop, that one didn't work. This is why you set price alerts, guys, and just don't jump in when you see the pattern develop. Let the pattern develop and then take out. There's another one that just kind of sloppy and went sideways. I may have to set this up. Now that's not a bad one. It finally went, but you know, we got the signal right here at, let's see, that's 9. So 9:30, there would be our signal. It did head fake down, but then finally went up. But listen, if you got that signal right here, what are you going to do? You're not just going to jump in, right? Because it's kind of in no man's land. You got the signal that, hey, this one is flagging. We had to move up, kind of going sideways. What you're going to do is come in and you're going to put a price alert right there. So when it does go through, you'll get notified. That one flagged and didn't work. Flagged and didn't work. So let's put it on 9, see what happens. See, this is what's tough when you get all the market move, and you know, in basically the first 45 minutes of a day, it kind of makes what I do wrong. Didn't see anything. Let's try 10. Nothing was flagging at 9. Whoa, a lot of stuff at 10. Huh, that's a nice one. I mean, everything was in play. It just no follow through in the market, and there's your flag. But a beautiful move up. There's your flag, and you know, worked for a little bit, but then really the market just kind of didn't go anywhere. There's one, another one. 10 o'clock. There's your flag. But what would you do? You would set it at highs, and you would set your alert right there, and then you'd be notified. So once again, the pattern's developing, but don't assume until it goes through. Beautiful example here. This one right here, up move, there's your flagging, there's your high. That's where you set your price alert. Nice little action there. So I'm seeing some that actually worked pretty good. This one is a freaking beauty. If it's, yeah. So you got your alert right here, and then it went right after there. So there's your move, there's your bull flag, and then I keep saying alert. You're not getting your alert. You're getting you're getting the symbol in your top list, okay? And this happened at 27.92, which marries up to right there. Boom, right at the high. Boom, nice move. So there's your pattern and the subsequent move. That one didn't work, but you had a kind of a big move there. So anyway, guys, I think you're seeing what I'm talking about. This will work, and once again, you're going to have to play around with this to meet your parameters. Now, everything's not going to be as beautiful as GDI, where you move higher and it just flags perfectly for you. But and getting back to, I can't remember, was it who made that? Was it Mike that? Or is it David? I can't remember, but somebody talked about using a 15-minute or a 5-minute. You could do this on a 5-minute too. Let's take a look at this GDI on a 5-minute chart, see what it looks like. Obviously, you got to go back in time. So there you go. And we'll look at 10 o'clock, and there it was right there, still flagging. Nice move, flagging. So you can look at it on either time frame. But I will tell you this, with a 5-minute candle, you're going to get some of them that just kind of look, you know, very sloppy like this. They won't look as clean a lot of times as a 15-minute one. See, they're just not as tight, I should say. There's Credit Suisse. We talked about the banks. Okay, there was your, you know, your flag right here. Move up. There's your tight range flag. Poke through. Got a little bit of meat on the bone, but still not kind of traded with the market there. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's thank you, Bill. It's this is definitely one that you can take, and I will probably play around with it more. I'll watch it more and kind of play around with it more. You can probably put some other filters. You can try using a 60-minute time frame versus a 15-minute, I'm sorry, 30-minute, but I think you might miss a lot of, a lot of stocks that flag for 30 minutes and then they move after it's tough to get something that flags for 60 minutes. And guys, you can always come in here. Let's say you're getting too much data. Okay, what can you do? You're getting too much data. Well, come in here and, well, let me duplicate this so I don't ruin my original. This is what you do when you don't want to ruin your original. You duplicate it, then start playing around with it. All right, so you go window specific filters, and let's say you want them flagging a little bit tighter. Then you go in here, you bring this down to 0.25. Maybe you want them closer to highs. Come in, you put 90. Now, I probably just sawed off a lot of this in the 10 o'clock time frame. Let's take a look. And I did. Look how much I sawed off just by doing that. Now, let's see if it's some quality stuff. That one did work. You can see how much tighter it is. Credit Suisse, another example. It's pretty tight. And it's obviously near highs of the day, so it's near that 90%. TU. But by doing that, what am I missing? I'm probably missing the best trade of the day. Look at the, getting back to GDI. Why that one's not coming in there? Let's see, 10 o'clock. I'm not sure. It's probably the range. Since this is a $20-something stock, it probably just got outside of that range. Even though it looks really tight, for some reason it's not in there anymore, and it probably got outside of that 2.5 range. Well, let's just take a look. 30-minute position in range, definitely there. Oh wait, GDI. Yep, see it's 0.3. 30-minute range is 0.3. So by taking it down to 2.5, I kicked that one out. So you got to be careful when you're playing around with it. I think something like a 0.3 is probably just fine. But you could, you could obviously come in here and put them closer to a position in range. You can maybe, put it above 90, eliminate a lot of this. All right, so that's how you can take it, guys. Play around with these things. I can't tell you how much you learn just by going in. Even when you get these from us and you think they're great, trust me, they're not perfect, and you can play around with these things and make them better. And that's how you're going to learn how to use the software, guys, just by going in, spending time, and playing around with it. So let me go ahead and add this into what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to let you guys have this alert. And for those of you guys who are in here, we have the ability to share alerts with people, and we do share all of our favorite alerts. And this is going to be, one of them. I'll put bull flag intraday. I'll put intra, and I will take this, copy and share. Copy all. Paste. All right, so that is in there for all you guys who do have trade ideas. You're welcome, Waleed. If you guys take it and play around with it and make it better, always get back to me and let me know. Any of you guys listening to the recording, just send an email to info@trade-ideas.com, and we will get you a copy of this to you, and we'll email it back to you. So you're welcome, everyone. I'm pretty much talked out right now, so I'm going to wrap it up. And you're welcome, guys. Thank you so much. And remember, we'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back with Steve for the Trading Studio. I'm sorry, the Trade of the Week webinar. So make sure you guys come to that. And with all that said, thank you for your attendance, and thank you for all your kind remarks. I'm going to bring Scott back in, and he's going to walk us out of here. Scott, are you around?
Yeah, Andy, thank you.
All right.
So
thank you.
On the way out, a couple items for everyone. Let's remember that we have a podcast. New episodes are out on Fridays. So just go to whatever app you listen to podcasts in, search for Trade Ideas Podcast, and make sure you have a subscription to us so you can get the next exciting episode. Also, check out the past episodes. They're pretty good, too. We have a code, Heatwave, all caps, is usable this month to save 15% off your first month or year of trade ideas. Those of you who are thinking about doing an upgrade from standard to premium can still use these codes to do an upgrade. We're going to be changing something in the back end for upgrade codes later on, maybe this week, but for today, for sure, you can still use that to do an upgrade. So just log in off the home page on the upper right and click on Change My Subscription and use that code when you're doing it. Thanks, everyone. We'll have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow. Follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro is the page to like on Facebook to share everything we post with your friends. You can also find us on Twitter. At Today Trader is Steve Gomez. At QuantBot is the usual host of the Monday webinar, Jamie Hodge. And we also have at Trade Ideas and some other handles. Shoot any questions you have to info@trade-ideas.com. That goes to our help desk and gets you the most appropriate response. Thanks again, Andy, for helping out today. We appreciate it. And thanks all of you for attending.
Yes, thank you, Scott, and thanks everyone. Joe, just send an email to what you see on the board there at info@trade-ideas.com. Ask for the bull flag daily, and I will get you that to you. So, thanks everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks all.